Welcome to video number 3. Now, video number 3, we're going to chat about getting started with PHP. Now, getting started with PHP can get complicated if you do not understand it. I also recommend, once again, that you do understand HTML and CSS before starting with this video. Alright, now the first thing that you need to understand, and as I already said that in the previous videos, but I'm repeating myself so that I can make sure that everyone understands me, is that you need a dynamic server. You won't be able to actually run a PHP site just by creating a folder on your desktop. You need an actual server to run that for you. Now, the first thing that we're going to have a look at is the different ways of getting your local server to actually work. We're also going to have a look at remote servers. Now, the first thing that I recommend you do is go to open up your browser on Google, type in Xampp. Xampp is one way to actually get your local server up and running. Now, Xampp is developed by Apache and Friends. And the thing about Xampp is that it is free to use. It's easy to use. However, there's a couple of hiccups and huge hiccups and a big flaw of using Apache and Friends. Now, the first problem with Apache and Friends is your ports. Now, I'm just going to show you an example. If I run netstat on my CMD, it shows you all the available ports on your computer. Now, the biggest problem with Xampp is, and I'm just going to right align this thing right here, the biggest problem is that Xampp by default uses port number 80. Now, port number 80 is always used. It's always used by either ISS, Skype, or relevant other system stuff about Windows. Now, if we open up our task manager, you would see that if we look at I think it's processors. If you look at processors, there's a processor called SV Ghost, or even if you have Windows 8 like I do, it will be called Service Host Local Servers. Now, local servers by default is your Windows front cache, your WinHTTP web proxy server. All that kind of stuff always uses port number 80. Now, you can go ahead and download Xampp and see if it's going to work for you. Now, fresh installed Windows, it will probably do work. If you have your Windows now, will be going for a while, I doubt that it's going to work. Now, to actually unblock or change the port of Xampp is a totally different story. Trust me, it's not easy. Now, one thing that you can do, though, is that you can open up your services or open up Control Panel first, and then go to Administrative Tools, and then once you're at Administrative Tools, we can open up Services. Now, Services is a great way of viewing if you have IIS installed on your computer or not. Now, if I drag down to the bottom and look for World Wide Web, which I do not have, I'm going to explain to you why, but if you have, I would recommend you stopping this if you will go the route of Xampp, because World Wide Web is IIS, and IIS uses the same ports and the same protocols as Xampp. So you can go ahead and install Xampp if you would. I'm going to stop right here. I'm not going to explain to you how to get your Xampp working. You can maybe go ahead and try and install it, see if it works. If it works, great. If it doesn't work, then you can continue my way. So this is Xampp, and this is one way of getting it to work. Very, very flanky way of doing it. The other way of doing it is using IIS. Now, IIS is a great way to get websites going and get websites working. The reason why I favor IIS is because it comes with applications like Web Platform Installer, which is a great application you can use to actually alter your website and so forth and so forth. Now, the first thing that I want to show you is Hyper-V. Now, Hyper-V can be activated on Windows, and I suggest that you do it this way. And you can get a Windows Server 2012. You can get a trial version as well if you'd like, and if you really like it, you can actually purchase it as well. So if you're going to go into production, I would definitely recommend you to use Windows Server. Now, one thing that you do need to understand is IIS can be ran locally, on your own computer. However, I do not recommend this because if you work on certain projects and your hard drive breaks, then you've lost all your work. What I do recommend though is using a separate server on your go buy a server. It's not that expensive. You pay $200, especially if you're going to do this professionally. Go get yourself a personal server, or even get yourself some space online like Microsoft Azure. The other way is doing it as well. If you're much confident, you can actually create a server on Hyper-V Manager on your actual computer and run it from there. Now, what I do recommend is having a look at how to activate IIS on your computer. Now, I can actually go and open up my control panel. I can show you on your local machine how to activate IIS on your computer. Oh, I opened the wrong thing right there. So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to go back to your administrative tools. You will see a little application called Hyper-V Manager. If you do not have the Hyper-V Manager, you need to go and activate that. And the way to actually activate that is we're going to go to Device Manager. We're going to make sure in the Device Manager that all your relevant devices are installed and working correctly, because you do not want to run a server if you do have, improper USB ports or something that is the drive is not installed correctly. So always make sure that your device manager is always up to date and everything is installed before starting with anything else. Now, to actually activate IIS, I would recommend you to Google that. It's a quite easy way to do it. However, I would rather spend the time now explaining to you what to do after that. I'm just going to close this. Once you have installed or activated your IIS, you will basically get the same as I'm going to show you now. Now, I've already set it up and configured a personal server of mine to actually work, and that's what I'm going to access right now. Just going to connect to that server. And if you have a basic knowledge about a server, I would definitely recommend you to set up a basic server, even if it's 2008 or even 2003. I recommend you doing that. So I'm busy connecting to my server. Okay, I'm connected to my server right here, and you would see that my server has got IIS installed. And this is my IIS. Now, if you do not have a server, but you've activated IIS, I would definitely, follow me from here on. In part 2 of this, I will actually go ahead and explain to you how to activate IIS. Maybe you're confused, so okay, I'll explain to you how to do that. So in the next video, we'll have a look at activating IIS on your local machine, as well as activating it on your server machine. I definitely recommend you to get a server, not only because it's more safer than using a personal computer, but it's better. This was video number 3, getting started with PHP.